Everybody, good evening, man. I want to again welcome you guys back to another episode of the Conversation 9-8. Just want to thank you guys so much for rocking with your boy. Episode 104. So we've been going strong now for over 2 years, and just grateful for the opportunity to continue to keep this thing going. Again, man, I'm excited. I had to bring one of my men back tonight. Back on here so we can talk and share some things. And I always enjoyed it. We've been rocking with each other almost 20. Enjoy him. And the one thing about him that I appreciate is he's been, like, people say A1 from day one. Hey, he's been the same person from way back when. So just wanted to thank him for coming on. But tonight, man, realistically, man, I'm looking forward to this conversation. Doing what I usually do, send this out. Make sure you send this out. Make sure you let people know where you're tuning in from, and we can go from there. But again, thank you again for rocking with me on the Conversation 9-8. It means more than what you know. Again, man, I'm thankful, man. Enjoying this slight weather change. I know we're still summer for 12 days. We still got summer, but the weather's starting to change up here in the North Country, and again, I'm just grateful. Hold on. Let me go. I'm just grateful for the opportunity to continue to come back and forth. And I was just thinking about what was going on. Just try to think about things and really waiting on God to kind of give me something to talk about. And this week, the subject, I was like, man, let me get my man E on here with me. So without further ado, man, I'm going to bring him in. My man, Eric Willis, bring him in on the show. What's going on with you, Doc?
Hey, man, how you doing, man? How you doing? Hey. I'm going to mute my phone. My aunt just called like you was doing the introduction. Let me go ahead and...
Hey, that's how it is, man. That's how it is. No problem, man. What's up, Robert? Yeah. How you doing, Rob? What's going on? But yeah, man, just really want to get into it, man. Talk about the show, not just the show, but talk about... just really be open and honest. And I'm glad that you came back, man. I really enjoyed you a few weeks back the show, man, talking about some things. And I think tonight is going to be one of those topics that we're really going to be able to just go deep in for a little bit and have an open and honest conversation. So tonight, man, we're talking about how to heal from and deal with the pain of betrayal. Again, I say how to heal from and deal with the pain of betrayal. And one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about that and open that up is because the biggest thing about betrayal is it always comes from an unexpected source or unexpected place. I say most of the time it comes from an unexpected source or unexpected place because it comes from a place where these are people or things in which we put our trust in and we don't expect to deal with that level of betrayal. We don't expect that thing to happen to us. And in that's what really caused a lot of the hurt. When we talk betrayal, when you talk about ever having to deal with betrayal, that right there, coming to the realization of, dang, that hurt me, was really like, oh, they did that to me. That was really the hurt of it. That's what really the sting of it. And that's hard for a lot of us to really acknowledge and overcome. It is. And I've been had to deal with betrayal on a lot of different levels, a lot of different areas in my life. And one thing that I've come to learn, man, is that sting, that initial sting of that betrayal is really because I didn't expect it to come from what it came or who it came from.
Thanks for having me, man. Once again, when I was informed about what we'll be talking about, the subject matter tonight, the first thing that came to my mind was the movie that came out in 1992, X. It was about the autobiography of Malcolm X, Denzel Washington, Spike Lee, and all those. And one scene, he said, I can conceive death. But I not betrayal, because in the movie they showed where the nation head, which was Elijah Muhammad, was betraying the character Malcolm X. I'm not allegation or whatever, but he was saying he couldn't believe that he was betraying after he put all that work. He laid his body and life on the line for the sake of that cause that he deemed was bigger than himself.
Mm-hmm.
And the same one who's the head, who calls the shots of that organization, turned on him. You know, just speaking from
the movie,
how the movie went.
Yeah.
And he said, I can conceive death, but I can't conceive betrayal.
Yeah.
And that right there, since I saw that as a kid, that always stood out to me.
Yeah.
Because you see that he really put everything on the line. Everything was in front. Everything concerning that particular organization was first.
Mm-hmm.
Above family, above, friends, above everything. This organization, this group of people, this minister is first.
Yeah.
He actually said over the time he would lay down his own life for that man.
Yeah.
He said if that man was ever charged of a crime, guilty by death, he would try to convince the laws and the powers that be that he did it because of his affiliation with that organization. He had so much love for that.
Yeah, and I'll say this, E. A key point that you made in that was when he said he could perceive death before betrayal, is because you can perceive death because we know death is coming. We know death is a part of life. So death is, no matter if we want to ignore it, we still know that it's coming. So it's easier to expect that to come, right? But it becomes hard when you talk about betrayal because almost like, hey, I let all my guards down and I give that full trust in it, and boom, I don't expect it to come from that place. I don't expect it to become from do me that way, or that organization to do me that way. And that's the sting of it. And that's so hard to really try to get to a space to deal with it because of that initial shock, that initial sting. We feel like, dang, that I felt that never would have happened to me. I mean, it does happen. It does.
I think a lot of time we can kind of feel it with that intuition because you don't want to believe that about that group or that person or whatever. Not to me. And then in your mind, you like, I done this, I done that, I done that. And they still, man, I'm telling you right now, man, for whatever reason, I know they showed the movie, it seemed like it was jealousy or stuff like that. That's what it seemed like in that particular movie, what I referenced earlier. But for whatever reason, man, I think there's just something in life to, for one scale or another, we're gonna have to deal with that, man.
Yeah. I mean, it is inevitable that we're gonna have to deal with betrayal in our life. It is like and from multiple places, multiple times. And a lot of times, this is what I learned too, is that even in those moments of betrayals, sometimes we are betrayed and it's not intentional that people have intentionally betrayed us. We were just thinking something differently than what really transpired. Or we thought more of somebody, we gave somebody more of the benefit of the doubt than we should have, instead of taking heed to the intuition that you talked about and believing it is for what it is, instead of hoping it to be something that, and then when it comes out to be something that it wasn't, now we feel like we betrayed, but what we really did is betrayed ourselves and not really took to heart what we knew to be true in the first place.
Yeah.
Because excuse me, I made a post earlier about saying stop getting mad at other people for you having to deal with the consequences of choices that you made. You made them choices. A lot of people complain about having deadbeat baby dad, and you chose to be with them. Like, deal with that first. Like, literally, I'm dead serious. They weren't no good before you got with them. You were just hoping that they would change, or you can help them change. then when they don't, then now all of a sudden, now you mad at everybody else, but you don't want to take the look in the mirror. And one of the biggest things to overcome is dealing with the betrayal of yourself. That you betrayed yourself. You betrayed yourself because you wanted to listen, or you wanted to believe something for it not to be what you just continue to go on and say, hey, you know what? Nah, that it ain't that bad, or it ain't this, that, and the third. But then when they show their true colors, now you want to act like you hurt. You want to play the big, but what you really need to do is address the fact that you were the one that set yourself up to be betrayed because you betrayed yourself.
And all the signs were there. All the red flags were there. All the stuff you should have took precaution of was there. But you want to see the thing this way. Like I told you, like my thing with the form, with the former PAW, I wanted to believe that. I wanted to believe that this is this. This thing is this. But I ignored every red flag that was in my way.
Yeah.
And those be the main ones that can hurt the most, especially when you gave yourself to those individuals, or that individual, or whatever, that person or whatever. So and it can take a long time. A lot of stuff can happen from that.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff can happen from that. I know. I remember one day I got so mad. Shit. My wife said, "What's wrong with you? You're like you crazy." And and I remember I was saying, man, I don't want to be mad, man.
Yeah.
I don't want to be. Yeah, I do feel a certain way about this group, but that's affected me to where it's hindering other relationships.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a domino effect kind of thing. And I'm like, nah, man, that ain't the move. That ain't the move, man.
And I'm glad
so you got to pull back.
I'm glad you brought that up, E, because I went through a space where I had to deal with severe betrayal.
Mm.
And I shared it before, but 2007 and 8, man, I went through a divorce and dealt with some betrayal, and I felt betrayed by a lot of people, man. A lot of people. I felt betrayed because I felt like certain people that I felt like that was quote unquote friends was gonna keep it real with me. That I felt like they didn't play their position. You know what I'm saying? The way that they should have played it. I felt betrayed by, by people just not stepping in, or I felt like should have stepped in when they, that I felt that, I was expecting me from other people. You see what I'm saying? I was expecting how I carried it and how I valued the situation, or how I valued the relationship. I was expecting me from other people. And what I had to find out was, hey, bro, that rarely happens. It rarely happens. And the reason why the betrayal was so prevalent, right? It was because I didn't expect, I was expecting, out of me being naive, I was expecting them to give me back what I was willing to give to them. But what I also had to realize, E, was that I had to make a decision to deal with it because it was impacting me and it wasn't doing nothing to them. And like you just said that, your wife was like, what you doing? Right? And you was like, no, I can't deal with this. I'm not gonna keep carrying this thing. I'm not gonna not address it because I want to deal with it so I can move on from it.
Yeah.
It can,
I think
life.
And that kind of leads to a point you have to kind of like relearn to lean like on your loved ones and your friends and those who have your best interests at heart.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And try to get centered again. Try to get centered, because that traumatizing thing threw your outlook off, threw everything off.
Listen,
and that is one way to kind of like heal and get over it and get back on track.
But you got to face it though. Like, cause see what happens is, what happens is a lot of times when we get hurt, we'll get hurt by things and people and things that may have betrayed us or did wrong by us. And what tends to happen is we choose not to address it and deal with it. So we choose to suppress it and thinking we can move on, right? But when we try to suppress it and move on, what we'll find out is it just creates dysfunction in everywhere else in our lives, in the relationships and everything. Because it boils up in everything. We snapping on folks that ain't got nothing to do with it because we trying to suppress that, right? But we have to have the courage to say, you know what, I'm going to address it head on. And addressing it doesn't mean that this, right? And I talk about this. Addressing it doesn't mean that it's going to change overnight. Sometimes it takes a process. For me, it took a few years for my heart to catch up with my mind was.
Yeah.
But I made the decision to say, I'm not going to allow this to impact me in this area. I'm going to address it so I can get over.
Yeah. Yeah. And don't act like you're not bothered by it. I remember years ago, Pastor Ocean was talking about when his dad died. You know, his dad, he went and got his dad, and they were staying. I don't know where he was staying, but he was in the Army. He took his dad to stay with him, and his dad died. And he said he just kept on, in faith. Like the way he said it, it was like he didn't mourn.
Yeah, he didn't take the time to mourn. He just
the trauma,
moving.
And the stresses that come with losing a loved one. He said he didn't mourn, and everything around him was falling apart because he didn't stop to mourn.
Yeah.
It kind of, that's what I got from the thing. Yeah. But and that's so true. When we don't deal with things properly, we don't handle things properly and address them properly, and for what it really is.
Yeah.
For what it really is. Sometimes we try to tell ourselves sweet things to lighten the blow.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
Yeah.
If it walk like a duck and cut like a duck, it's a duck. So when we do that, man, that is how we get to that's the beginning of us getting back on our game.
And that's the beginning of us on our journey to healing. Like, you got to call it for what it is. You got to say, hey, look, it is what it is. Don't sugarcoat it.
Yeah.
Say, because if you don't do that, man, you will never get on to healing. And what you'll find yourself in a repetitive state of blaming other people for what happened instead of you taking ownership of it.
Okay, I got a question then. Sure. Why is healing so important?
Okay, I'm so glad that you asked that, right? Healing is so important because healing frees you. It frees you from the bondage of what happened to you. And this is what I mean by that, right? Because yes, there are things that are going to happen that we got no control over, right? No control over. When I went through my thing and I was dealing with betrayal, I had no control over what happened to me. But I made the decision to heal because what I didn't want to do is I didn't want to become imprisoned by staying in that hurt, even though I didn't cause it. You see what I'm saying? I didn't want to continue to pay the debt on something I didn't cause. So healing is basically almost like paying the fare to free yourself. It's you paying your bond. It's your cash bond to free yourself from your hurt. It's your cash bond to free yourself from that pain. And you're paying that cost. Yeah. That's why it always it's not we'll put like this. It's not cheap, but it's necessary.
Yeah, very necessary. Especially if you plan to move on and be all that you can be in this thing called life.
Facts, man.
You got first thing you got to, at one time in my life, I was doing Alcoholics Anonymous. Yeah. And I remember some of those meetings. I did it so I can kind of soften the blow of the DWI that I had got. You know, I did this and I did that, you know. Look, I went. I'm being proactive, baby. Well, these really, you know, but anyway. And you know, we go to those meetings and everybody it was enriching to see how folks deal with their issue, how people deal with issues. And I'm in there like, I'm not an alcoholic, you know, but you know, I don't. There's some people, you know, they got the shakes and the stuff like that. I'm just, you know, but just seeing people be real with themselves.
Yes.
My mind is made up. I'm going to do this. I'm going to get over this hump. I'm going to live a normal life, and this substance will not be a part of that life.
Yeah.
So one way to help us is just to be real and to fess up and tell your part, the part you played. Tell what's the part you played in this thing.
So watch this, man. You just made me think about something. When you choose not to heal where you've been betrayed or you have to deal with some trauma, either two things are going to happen, right? Either you're going to replace that hurt with trying to suppress it through another substance, either through alcohol, drugs, sour, whatever, achieving anything, or you're going to replace it by projecting on other people that had nothing to do with it. And most of the time, those people that you project on are your closest ones are there that they're there in your life. They have your best interests at heart and they're there to help you heal, but you're attacking them because you choose not to address you choose not to heal. And that's why I said, that's why I say it's so important, that decision to heal, man, because that's how you deal with that pain. It's saying that I'm going to face it. I'm going to address it. I'm going to acknowledge the role I played in it. I'm going to do everything I can so that I can heal and free myself from carrying around this dead weight.
You know, the importance of healing. It's very important, man. Letting yourself heal.
Here are some pictures that matter.
Because I remember I was listening to this interview by a great rapper named DOC, and he was in an accident back in the day. Crushed his vocal box, and if you ever heard him speak, it's very gruff. It sounds very uncomfortable. He said the reason why he sounds like that because he was trying to rush the process of his healing, and because he rushed the process, he didn't heal properly, and that's why he sounds like this to this day. And nothing's wrong with him.
Yeah,
he's physically well. His voice didn't have time to heal, though.
Wow, man!
From that accident, one of the he could have been a GOAT. He could have been in the GOAT conversation.
What people don't realize, he was the PM at West Coast, like a lot of it. You know what I'm saying? The stuff that everybody champion right now, as far as like just icons or in the hip hop, he was the pen behind it. But you just said something, man. Like that, you just said something. When you rush your healing, you got to make sure that healing is marinated like a good meal, right? Yeah. You can't rush that. Like if it's some tells you to cook it slow. Oh, watch this. Healing is almost like cooking. The only way to accelerate cooking, if you want to cook, if some tells you to cook for 8 hours, slow cook. The only way you can replicate that in a shorter time is you got to put it in a pressure cooker with high pressure. You can't rush it.
That's right.
The only way you can rush it if you're saying that I'm going to put myself through this high pressure and I'm going to do the necessary things so I can get the same results in lesser time. But I can't rush that process. I got to get out there and get it. I got to do those steps. And like a lot of times, and I'm glad that you brought that up, man. a lot of times, man, we tend to do that. We got a comment. Valencia said it would be painful and costly for any who deals with you. It's a ripple effect. Now they may have to heal from the trauma you may have caused. And I like that ripple effect, E, because that's why so many of us have to deal with just things that passed on in our family because we choose not to heal from it.
That's right.
And
so time can allow you to process that event. Time allow you, time allows for self-reflection and things like that, man, in the healing process.
But the self-reflection is key. Self-reflection is key.
Now, I'm not gonna lie, man. Betrayal is that's a lot of time when you think of betrayal, you think of something just diabolical, just downright diabolical, just downright evil kind of thing. And to be honest,
that's not the case most of the time.
Yeah, and it sure feels like that when you're in it.
Yes,
it feels like that when you're in the middle of it. I know, like for me, and we talked about earlier about like red flags and stuff.
Yeah,
and recently, I have come to. I don't expect much out of people, man.
Yeah,
I don't care who you are. I don't care what you do for a living. I don't expect much out of people. My expectation toward people that I know are very low. And that's not to, say that I don't love some of these people and stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's just that I don't put too much confidence in people like that. Because we're all very valuable. we all have moments of weakness. We all have moments of.
We all human.
What if somebody betrayed you? What if somebody betrayed you for what they consider self-preservation?
Yeah.
You gotta look at the big picture. You know what I'm saying? So.
Yeah, man. Pearl Shepherd said, if you don't forgive and move on, you'll never trust another person or relationship in which will cause bitterness and hate for the rest of your life. Yeah, that is true. That's what we were just talking about, earlier, like that. You got to go through that process because the only thing we do is go from this place to that place. But you hit something, man. And Raphael said, I believe that's why so many people in the military rush to the next relationship. We don't take time to heal. And that's not just military, that's people. We think that if most people think that if I go to from this relationship to the next one without dealing with that, healing and dealing, we think that that relationship is going to heal that. And it don't. It don't.
Putting a Band-Aid on a gunshot wound.
Yeah, it don't.
Yeah.
It's not going to heal it because we didn't take time to, first of all, deal with self in that moment. And I'm gonna get back to that one after this one. She said, Valencia said, numbs the pain that keep you from dealing with your reality. Yep.
You said earlier that's how people take substances and stuff like that. So kind of not deal with reality.
Yeah.
They get in frivolous relationships to not deal with the pain or of the upset or the trauma that. Let me tell you. I remember one time, Pastor said to me, I was in one relationship after another, man. Like back to back. He was like, what was wrong with you? First you with this one, now you with this one. What's wrong with you? And man, ain't gonna lie, it was funny the way he said it. You act like you're some kind of playboy or something. What is wrong with you? And I looked at him as a spiritual father, so I respected what he said. And to be honest, at the time I had just got out,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, okay, I'm out. Okay, I'm in church. Find a wife and go live happily ever after. That was my mindset.
Yeah.
But no, sir. You got to deal with some things, sir.
Yeah.
And you taking all that baggage, you taking all that stuff with you, and they got baggage, and that's why it's unhappy. So I had went before I met my wife, I went 3 years with no relationship, completely celibate.
Yeah.
But I had to get to that point though.
Yeah.
I had to get to that point to where you deal with yourself, find out who you are.
Yeah.
Find out what you like, what you want. It ain't always a big button smile.
No.
Sometimes it's the character.
Yeah.
It's this and that turn. You know what I'm saying?
The conversation.
Would you see that? Huh? The conversation. That's right. That's right. You know, but you live and you learn.
But you said you had to take that time. It took you a space to get to that space, right? And that's why I want to talk about this, because somebody may be listening to this and may be dealing with the pain of betrayal right now. And with being somebody that has walked through that and really dealt with that down to the core. I'm talking about rocking you. When I'm talking about that betrayal, I'm talking about betrayal on the level where Tamara said, there it is, found out who you are, get to know self all over again. Yes, that is right.
That's right.
And that's what I'm saying. Like in that betrayal, when I went through what I went through, man, my whole foundation was rocky. Yeah, I was in that mud, like, bro, like, hey, hold up, man. I mean, me questioning everything. Like, I'm sitting in this thing, like, bro, this ain't supposed to be it. This ain't how it's supposed to roll. Like, you know, it's supposed to be a little different, right? And it was frustrating, but I realized, right, in that brokenness, man, that's where I found my peace.
Yeah.
In that brokenness is where I found my peace. And I know that may sound strange, but, you know, that led me to, I wrote this song that said that God was a keeper, because the words in it, I said, you don't know what I through and trials that he brought me through. You couldn't see the hurt and the pain and all the guilt and all the shame. I couldn't see my way. At times I wanted to stray, but now I know that you are the one who kept me. And in that, the reason why is in that brokenness, that's why I had to deal with me. I had to deal with me.
That's right.
To get to know, bro. Outside of me working in the church, outside of me being in the military, outside of all of these titles and everything, I had to get to know who Robert was, man. You know, that's why I said so. A lot of us are so mad at dealing with betrayal is because we lose ourselves by making what we put into it a God to us. Now we hurt.
Yeah. And that, yeah. I'm telling you, man, bro, I loved the PAW, man. I loved it. And, but we live and we learn, man. I don't want to bag, you know, but there's a lot of good people that I know that's in the PAW. So I don't want to,
no, that ain't that. It's just speaking. It's not a shot at any individual. Right? Yeah, you just talking about your experience and the things that you did. Yeah. Tamara said that it takes time to go back. That's good. It takes time to go back in time. Realize when you first experienced pain, what part you played. Forgive self and forgive those who. It's not always pretty facing the real you. And that's what we were talking about earlier, but you said something, and I want to repeat that, and I want to echo that, right? In order to not only face the pain of betrayal and deal with the pain of betrayal, you first got to forgive yourself. Yeah. You first have to forgive yourself, because if you don't forgive yourself, it is virtually impossible to forgive somebody else. Yeah. Because, go ahead, E.
No, I was telling you, I was getting ready to say when you said something about forgiving yourself, kind of pamper yourself too, man.
Yeah.
Like I think sometimes we feel we feel
treat yourself.
Selfish. But self-care, you talk about self-care, that is very important. That's selfish because I got to take care of me. I got to look after me.
Hey,
my granddaddy told me this one time. He said he's number one.
Yeah.
It put me for a loop because I'm thinking he's going to say my grandmother was number one. He said, no, I'm number one because how am I take care of her if I can't take care of me?
Yeah. So
self-care is very, very important, man. That is very important. And the definition of that varies from person to person, I'm sure. But make sure, man, once you healed and once you dealt with all responsible parties, you learn self-care, man. You learn self-care because a person that commented earlier, if you want to still have loving, lasting relationship, you got to learn to trust again.
You got to because when I went through what I went through, man, with my whole divorce and everything, I strongly remember saying, I'm going to deal with this because I don't want this to hinder me in the future.
Yeah.
And then watch this though. In my dealing with it, what I found out was it was bigger than me, E. It wasn't just about me. Like when you start to deal with it, what happens is you begin to see it from more of a broader perspective instead of just from your point of view. And you will start to find out is this, right? A lot of our betrayal and quit are tied to other people running from or not dealing with the pain and the hurt that they have been going through. Because hurting people hurt people. And it's not, a lot of times it's not intentional. It's not intentional. But we get mad because we're expecting, you see what I'm saying? We have the expectation that, no, that's not going to happen. I realized a lot of the things that hurt that came my way was a result of not dealing with something that happened to them. And it wasn't so much directly personal to me. I had to deal with the byproduct of it. And guess what? People have to deal with the byproduct of me not dealing with me.
Yeah. You have to deal with yourself. You have to deal, when you're speaking about that, when you have to deal with those things properly. They must be properly dealt with. If not, long time ago, this was back when I was in Junction City. It was a Friday, and I was at Pastor Ocean's house. I went in his refrigerator and got an ice cream sandwich, and I tore the breading off. I tore it off, and I just ate the ice cream. I threw it outside his door. I just threw it out in his yard, not thinking about it, right? When you know that later on that night, after the service was over, I went to his house again because something had happened with, one of the brothers and stuff like that. Instead of walking on his patio sidewalk and stuff, I cut through the yard. When you know that I stepped in that same ice cream sandwich stuff and tracked it back in his house, and Sister Ocean was hot. She was mad. But I'm like, at that moment, I was like, you know what? If I would have threw that away in the trash can, if I would have disposed of that, if I would have dealt with that properly, put that in its proper place, then I wouldn't have to deal with Diary of a Mad Black Woman. It was. I tell you, I got the lesson right then and there. If I would have threw this away in the trash can, but we did stuff. So with that, made me thinking about intention. You have to be intentional. You have to be intentional when it comes to healing. And dealing with yourself. Your intention is to be healed. My intention is to not only be healed, to me, the definition of dysfunctional is when something does not reach its intended purpose. I remember a long time ago, I had a blender and it wouldn't come on when you press the buttons. Even though it was plugged up, it was connected to the power source.
Mm-hmm.
But when I pressed the button, it wouldn't do what it was designed to do because wiring or whatever. But it malfunctioned because something on the inside wasn't right. It was connected.
Yeah.
Everything that it needs to do its job was there, but it was something on the inside that kept it from doing its intended purpose, which is the blend.
Yeah.
So I had to get rid of it and get a new one.
Yeah, that's why Tamara just said releasing people works the same way. Throw it away and that's why you say you had to get rid of it. You know, and I think, you know, and this is I'm glad that you said that, man. A lot of times we hold on to stuff we don't supposed to hold on to.
Yeah.
Because we think
too long.
We think we can fix it. Sometimes it outuse its purpose. And sometimes we got to look at it like this. And it's not that I'm wasteful, but if I pay $50 for something and I got 3 good years out of it and it stopped working, bro, I'll just go get something else for $50. I'm gonna try to spend $20 to try to get it back up. I got my use out of it and it's time to move on. And I think so many times we hold on to stuff that we didn't got our use out of it, that then ran out their season in our lives and things in our lives, you know, and we try to hold on to it. And we ended up carrying so much dead weight. And I remember last year when I moved, when I moved up here to New York and I moved my stuff from Georgia, I had so much stuff in storage and in the house that I was holding on to that I had to go and pay to have it dumped.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have any room for it. And the use of it had gone away years ago.
Yeah.
It was no longer needed. So if I had got rid of it at the moment I should have, I wouldn't have to load up and rent a truck to load it up to take it to the landfill, to dump it.
I just got a note. You wrote a note. What do you think pain?
Oh, pain definitely has a purpose. Pain definitely has a purpose, E.
I was looking at this documentary of this little girl. She has like something wrong with her, like sensory organs or whatever. Like it's things in our body. Like I can open the oven and get close to the pot or whatever, and you get some mints.
Yeah.
This little girl can't do that. She has it to feel it. It would have to be 20 times the pain.
Got it.
That's what the doctor said. 20 times the pain for her to feel it. So she's messed up. She done lost an eye. They got to keep the house at a certain temperature and all that because she done teeth, all that, them knocked teeth out, all that, and she couldn't feel it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But like they said she's bitten through her lip while eating and didn't know it. So I think all because she can't feel pain. So she done messed herself up.
Yeah.
I think she has like an eye patch on and all kind of stuff going on because she
couldn't feel it.
Can't experience pain like a normal person. So pain has
a purpose.
Does have a purpose.
Yeah.
Pain can let you know your limits.
Yeah.
Pain can let you know.
But pain lets you know what you need to deal with.
That's right.
So pain, if you look, if you roll that ankle, pain lets you know that later deal with it and protect that for a while so that area can heal.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And pain has its purpose. And pain also would make you realize the value. Ooh, pain will make you realize the value of things you've taken for granted.
Yeah.
You don't believe me? Hurt your big toe, and you'll see how much you use that big toe. Hurt your pinky finger, and you see the finger. Like, you see what I'm saying?
Because we do stuff without even thinking about it all the
time. Off the top. But that's what pain would do. Pain will make you realize how much you've taken things for granted and how necessary it is to appreciate those things. Because it was like, dang, man, like, dang, I didn't know that. You know, like, dang, I every time I got to move my hand, dang, I feel this and I feel something like that. Pain makes you appreciate it. It reminds you, you know, and pain does have a purpose, man. It does.
Yeah, there is a purpose behind pain, and that's something we're gonna deal with it in one form or one degree to another in life, all the time. And it's just what it is. I'm thankful for all the lessons I've learned. I'm thankful for all the good teaching I've got, and all the bad teaching too.
Yeah,
because old boy said, if every day's a sunny day, it was a sunny day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So pain helps you appreciate not pain.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's something that it keeps you alert. It makes you mindful of how you're living, what you're doing, how you're acting, how you're reacting.
Yeah.
Pain is a reminder of that.
Yeah.
So a lot of time, if it's not for pain, we'll be like that little girl. We'll bite through our lip. We'll lose an eye. We'll get severely burned on our hand because we can't feel pain. We don't, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That is, pain isn't, it has a place. It has, I ain't gonna say it's important because I'm going to speak that, but it does have a place in our lives. It does have a place.
Yeah. And not only that it has its place, but we should take heed when we would and address it the way that we need to address it. Pain lets us know that this need attention.
Yeah, that's right.
You know what I'm saying? And then if I don't deal with it in a timely manner, sometimes we will heal back, but it won't heal back in the right place because I didn't give it the right attention.
Yeah.
And that's why we got to be careful with that. And give things the right attention, give it, and that's what we're talking about when you're dealing with this betrayal, to deal with it, like to face it, to say, you know what, I'm going to address me, I'm going to address everybody in it, right? But I'm going to take ownership of the role I play so I can move on from it. So I'm not carrying that dead weight around with me.
I wrote a note that says dealing with stuff properly. And part of healing, you said addressing stuff, seeing for what it is, seeing stuff for what it is, listen to what they say, looking at how they move.
Yep. All
the signs are there. But don't be a fool. Don't be a fool. I'm telling you, I'm a little bit more alert to certain behaviors. I'm a little bit more alert to certain attitudes and certain spirits and certain people around me.
Yeah.
Because to protect my own self.
Yeah, protect yourself.
Protect my own, you know what I'm saying? I don't, I'm not a good victim. I'm not a good victim.
Yeah.
I have been, but I'm not, because I'm not going to, I'm not going to do anybody wrong intentionally. Yeah. I'm not going to do that. But having the mindset to deal with this kind of stuff properly, man. I think you have to do it. You have to do it for you, man. You have to do it for you, because pain is inevitable. Sometimes it is inevitable.
Yeah.
Everybody's lost a loved one. Everybody has had a physical injury. Everybody, but that pain of the subject matter, betrayal,
it hit different, man. It hit different.
Yes, Lord.
It hit different.
Yes,
and it takes some time to heal from. It does, man, because the thing that it takes the time is I would do that. Like for real, I didn't expect them to be the ones to do that.
You played football.
Yeah.
You played basketball. You played baseball. You know, sports. Period. So if you're playing football and you mess around and tear something, an ACL or MCL or something like that, that comes with that.
Yeah.
You playing basketball, you roll your ankle, that comes with that. That comes in that environment. But I can say Robert Shepard is a good dude. Robert Shepard ain't gonna do nobody like that. He ain't gonna. If it's something he ain't with, he'll tell you.
Yeah.
So to have that, to be faced with betrayal, and you've displayed all of that, I'm just using you as an example, not little. Yeah. Bro, that's like getting shot.
Yeah, it is. No, I'm dead serious, man. It's like the stab in the back, and that's it, man. Because you know, like the betrayal, like what you said. Sometimes we look at betrayal as this grotesque thing, right? But the reality is, most of the times, the betrayal that we're talking about, what we're dealing with, is those small things that hurt us the deepest. Mm-hmm. And the stuff I'm talking about is the betrayal that you see that your significant other prioritize somebody else over you consistently. Mm-hmm. You see that your child, the betrayal of see you as a parent choosing your job over them. You see what I'm saying? And you see the betrayal of, I'm not talking about those type of things that we all deal with, that a lot of us, we shrug off, but that hurts us to the core. And we try to walk around and we try to live a life like it don't bother us, but it do. And we carry that stuff into our adulthoods, and we build up all of these walls, and we wondering why, as adults, why we continue to have dysfunction in our relationships. Because those pains, we don't address those feelings of betrayal, and we make up in our mind like, look, I can do it all on my own. I don't need nobody. No, them lies, bro.
Yeah. Betrayal is like a violation, man. It's like a violation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you know, that comes with, you know, some come with that. You know, so some come with that. That is a violation to a degree.
And I'm glad, man, that you came on with me tonight, man, and just had this conversation about this. Because that is true. That's the thing about it. And we can end on that note, is that it's a violation stuff that come with that, right? You have to get over the fact of you want to make sure you know, you got to deal with you in that.
Yeah.
In that violation.
Yeah, because it has an impact on you. That has an impact on your life.
Yeah, it does. And the thing that you got to deal with you, like Miss the lady said, betrayal hurts you to your soul. That is true. Yeah. But the thing about it is, when you talk about how to deal with you, is you got to deal with you not wanting to get like, because you violate me, bro. I got to settle the score. That's a lot that come with that. Like, bro, like you said, I'm not a good victim. Like, bro, like, hey, you did, and I would tell you, man. And it was when I went through what I went through. What gave me peace was with my relationship with God. What God, because me mentally, bro. Hey, eye for an eye, bro. Hey, you did me. I'm a boom. And what God revealed to me was that wasn't going to give me what I was looking for. I was going to do to other people what they did to me, and that ain't going to give you what you're looking for.
Yeah.
He said, give it to me, let me handle it. And bro, I ain't want to do that. I'm like, man, what you talking about? Like, no, they did this to me. I'm going to let them know. I'm going to do this. I'm a boom. He said, don't do none of that. Let it go. I got you.
Yeah.
And I'm glad because that led to a lot of my healing in that, man. Like, for real. Like, me foregoing. Like, okay, saying that I'm not going to do those things that I want to do. And I think mentally you have to go through when you're talking about healing is getting over the fact that the voice in your head try to say you're a punk, man. You ain't did this. You just letting them people get over. And it's not about them getting over. It's about you saying that, you know what, I'm doing this for me. Because if I don't forego or let go, what I end up doing is letting them folks live rent free in my space, in my head, in my world for so long.
I just wrote that. I just wrote set your mind free.
Yeah.
Roger was saying that. I wrote set your mind free, because that feeling of betrayal, the trauma that comes with that, it has a tendency to terrorize you. It has a tendency to haunt you.
Yeah.
Man, that stuff is real, man. Yeah. That stuff is real, man. That energy is real. Yeah. But you have to make up in your mind, I'm not gonna do this. This is not me. I have to get up and I have to move on. I wrote that, man, set your mind free. Yeah. How do we set our minds free? How do we be healed and set our minds free from such ill dealings?
We have to be intentional about it, though.
Be intentional.
We got to be intentional about it. We got to be intentional, right. And we have to understand that this, right, it's not going to come on our timing or in our own strength.
That's right.
I don't care what belief system you align to, you're not going to heal in your own strength. You got to say, you know what, I got to trust the process because it's bigger than you.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? And you have to be willing to do the work. You have to have the courage, the intestinal fortitude, like we said in the military. You got to have the courage to say, I'm going to deal with me. I'm going to look at me in the mirror and deal with me. Yeah. And get over the fact to be like, I ain't gonna let this happen to me again. And that's why you dealing with high blood pressure right now. That's why you can't sleep at night. That's why you don't have peace. Because you're trying to do everything on your own. And you wondering why you tired right now because of all of that stuff. Ms. Blader said, how do we deal with the same person that betrayed us? Hey, one thing you got to do is, and I'll say this, and I'll let you chime in on that, is you got to deal with you first. Because if you don't deal with you first, dealing with you will a lot of times dealing with you will let you know why you keep putting yourself in that situation.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times the betrayal that we experience is because we put too much into other people, hoping that other people will be our saviors.
Yeah. Man. Yeah.
Facts right there, E.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
big facts. I might have said this last time, but I heard a trusted member talk about me. I heard that. I heard them I was on the phone, but they didn't know I was on the phone. And before we could tell them all on the phone, they had started, man, it ought to be illegal.
Yeah.
So, do I be mad and go at them, or do I deal with me? Because I didn't want to, at that time, I didn't want to be mad. I didn't want to be angry. I was trying to understand forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It ain't like stepping on your shoe.
Yeah.
Oh, don't worry about that. This right here, nigga, I cut for you. I ride for you.
Yeah.
Anything you need from me, I'll do it.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie. I said, Lord, help me to not hold a grudge against this individual.
Yeah.
And to this day, they don't know that I know that. They don't know that I was on that phone when they were talking about me like I didn't have a soul.
Mm-hmm.
This was a church person too. Just want to put that out.
But E,
Ata Shabo Ha. One of those, yeah.
Hey E, but I do want to say this though. Cheryl Underwood said one time, she was on the morning show, I guess The View or whatever. She was talking about how when they had the Queens of Comedy come out, they was gonna bring her on, and she was on the conference call. They didn't know she was on there, and some more. All of them, they were going in on her about how they ain't want her on there and everything. And she said she didn't say nothing. She took out her notebook. She wrote down what they said, and she said, yeah, it hurt her. But she said what she liked about it was they spoke the truth. They spoke the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And And I'm glad that you said what you said earlier. And Valencia said, be still and be quiet. Be still and be quiet, but also deal with you. Like that's you said a key thing, E. You went to God and said, hey, help me not hold a grudge. See, and watch this though, E. If you didn't experience that, you couldn't really talk on it at the level that you're able to talk about it now. They're helping somebody.
At the time, I wasn't even part of a church for a year.
Yeah.
And that happened to me. But, you know, that was back in that life. But I just knew that was not the move, man. I just knew that was not the move, man.
Yeah.
Because that's going to create, you know, tension.
Yeah.
And it still did, you know, throughout the years or whatever. But you cannot stop a bird from flying over your head. No. You cannot. No. But you can keep them from making a nest on it. So
that is true. That right there. And I like how you just put that, right? And this one thing that I learned, and E, and I'm gonna say this because I just thought about it as you was talking. You know, sometimes what we have to realize is this, right? We have to realize that some people will maximize where they know how and where they at. And no matter what, right? Those same people, we can start off looking at them and holding them at certain places. But as we continue to mature and grow, we'll realize that they're just at this, they didn't plateau 30, 40 years ago.
Flatline still.
With no intentions of getting better.
That's right. That's right. On the same level.
The same level. So I had to realize, man, especially, man, being young, you know, growing up in the, like we talked about this is growing up in the church, being young. A lot of people being, you know, God has gifted me with a lot of different talents. He has. I mean, but guess what? I've also put in the work to develop those talents, right?
That's
but at
right.
the same point, people that know me, I ain't one of the ones that walk around like, oh, look at this, that. I just do what I do. I've always had a servant heart. I always have, always will. That's just me. But I realize some people don't like that because they are envious of what God put into you. Right?
Yeah.
Don't let them people in there, you know, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what we're talking about, being able to see things for what they are. Stop hoping the best of people, not saying you're looking at the worst, but if somebody show you who they are, believe them.
And deal with them accordingly.
No,
not harshly.
If they
not
show
harshly.
You who they are, believe them.
If you gotta is having a long drawn out conversation with them, hey,
Facts.
Keep it moving. Keep it moving.
Do you just know?
Because when you talk about, I don't want to rip them, but you talk about church people hide behind Christianity. They are some of the biggest jerks on this planet. And they hide behind that, thinking, oh, I'm a God-fearing person.
Well, a lot of the betrayal, that's why church hurt is so relevant, so prevalent in today's time, is because people are dealing with the betrayal because people have been hurt by people in the church, and that's a betrayal because they didn't expect them to be hurt like that.
Yeah.
Right? But the reason why, that's why I said a lot of times it's not even intentional, is because they refuse to deal with who they are, and they end up hurting other people, trying to elevate themselves, instead of being true to themselves.
Yeah.
It happens, and I've experienced it. I've seen it. That's why it's so important to deal with you, and we talk about this all the time, right?
Make up in your mind.
Deal with you, and that's why we can throw on all of these titles. We can have all of these positions. We can do all of that until you deal with you the right way. I'm telling you, man. This is the thing. These same folks been hurting people for a long time and don't even realize it because they don't see nothing wrong with who they are. Because they tie who they are, they tie the worth of who they are into the position that they hold.
That's right. Like fly, they always in some.
Yeah. So so they tie that into it, and I'm speaking that, man, because I see so many people hurt. And I've seen so many people, man, that be like, man, I ain't got nothing to do with the church no more, because they deal with folks like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And just instead of Betrayal is real. It happens. It is inevitable that we always have to deal with it. We will betray other people. It will happen. It is. No matter how good that you think you are, there's some things that you're going to betray other people with, because a lot of times it's tied to expectations.
That's right. That's right.
And sometimes
that's true.
You like it, I can let my son down or let my kids down by something. I ain't even intentionally trying to do it. But the thing is, when I find out about it, I go and address it and deal with it right then. Like, hey, look, I'm gonna lay it out. I'm being transparent, open, and honest, because I understand that I'm human.
Yeah.
I understand that things happen. Yeah. And it's good to have those conversations so that they're not dealing with that. They can deal with it right there and hear from the horse's mouth. You know, because if a lot of times betrayal, a lot of healing from betrayal can happen immediately. If people just acknowledge what they did and just say, hey, I really didn't mean that. I didn't mean that. Hey, I was being honest with you. I had a bad day. But we don't do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Deal
with it. That's on you.
Like,
deal with it.
Man, I'm telling you. So I'm so glad. Like, this thing, I can talk all night about this. Really go deep. Dig it up, right? But the key thing that you said is you got to deal with yourself is key. Deal with the role you played in it.
Yeah. You have to. If you want to get up and move on for this thing and function properly. Then you have to deal with yourself. All that comes, you have to deal with yourself. You have to deal with it. You have to be open and honest with yourself. And you have to, once you decide to deal with yourself, those adjustments you see you have to make them.
Yeah.
Or else you're going to be constantly going over the same thing, constantly letting the same thing bother you, constantly being mistrustful, constantly. That affects
your quality of life.
That affects you more than you would dare to know.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, my thing is, man, I hope whoever hear this, you got to deal with yourself, man. You got to deal with yourself. I'm going to go out, Shep, with this one. I remember a story that I had read in the Bible. I forgot who it was, but the guy who wrestled, the story about the guy wrestling with an angel, and his brother was coming to get him.
Jacob and Esau,
and he had, I remember they said he had sent everybody, he sent all his family and his party, sent them all, and he had to wrestle, with, I would say he wrestled with an angel and stuff like that. He wrestled with God and stuff like that. But one thing I'm going to take from that is that you have to deal with yourself in order to restore things, in order to get back on track, in order to get where you need to be, in order to be who you need to be. You have to deal with yourself, no matter how big the trauma or the betrayal or the whatever it is. You have to deal with yourself. See where the part you played, accept it, and make adjustments to not do that again.
Yeah.
And you'll only become better. You'll only become a better individual when you take on that responsibility. You're on the road to being a better individual.
Yeah. When you own it.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you own it.
Yeah.
It's so paramount, man. I appreciate your insight, man, for real, because it's definitely necessary, and I hope that whoever may hear this is helpful to them to just make that decision and say, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna take ownership and I'm gonna go on my journey to healing. Because I just refuse, to allow somebody else to control my life by not dealing with something that may have happened to me. Yeah, and I like what Eric Thomas said. He said, and I say it all the time on the show, your pain may not have been your fault, but your healing is your responsibility.
Oh, Like PMC said.
But yeah, and it's so imperative that we deal with that, man. And I hope that this is helpful to somebody. Valencia said, "You're right. Healing change starts with yourself, me." Miss Valeda said, "I'm so thankful for this episode today. With what I'm going through, I really have to keep asking God to not let me hate or feel some type of way about the betrayal of what happened." Yeah, so EM to tell you, Miss Paige Bank lost her son, and I know it's been hard for her to deal with that, right? But at the end of the day, my prayer, Miss Paige Bank, is that through this conversation, it helped you get into where start that process of moving forward, and not allow that hate and that pain or that bitterness to come in to imprison you in that moment, and
it's going to take some
time. I know this may not sound good, but I'm gonna echo the same thing the Holy Spirit spoke to me when I was going through my divorce in 2006 and 2007 while I was deployed, and everything was happening, and I'm sitting here like, God, why me? And the Holy Spirit kept saying, why not? Yeah, I ain't want to hear that.
Yeah,
bro, I ain't want to hear that. What you mean? Why not? I'm sitting here like, what you mean? Why not? I've been serving you as a young man. Since a young man, I've been in the church serving you, witnessing for you, living for you. What you mean? Why not? God, why you allow all of this to happen to me? All of this stuff. While I'm deployed, I'm dealing with this, that, and the third. Everything come back. I deploy, married. I'm getting a divorce, become a single dad in a new place, dealing with PTSD. My son got separation anxiety. I'm going through all of this. And guess what? Then I'm pissed off at other people because I felt like y'all knew certain things. Y'all should have did this, that, and the third. I'm just going through it. And the Holy Spirit kept saying, why not? It didn't take me to years later to understand what it was saying. If I did not go through what I went through, I couldn't talk about it the way I'm talking about it now.
Yeah.
That was a purpose of that pain. Yeah, I didn't want to go through it. I would not have chosen to go through it, but it was a purpose in that pain. And that pain was preparation for the destiny for me to walk in. And from that moment, I've been able to help a lot of people just from my experience. They coming in and they dealing with stuff. And I'm like, hey, boom, I'm able to talk. I can talk from a place of empathy because I've been through it. I ain't just read it in the book, bro. When I talk about forgiveness, I ain't just read it in the book. I can talk about it because I had to. I had to forego some stuff. And I had to forego some stuff that legally I had the right to do. That I had enough to do it. God was like, let it go. Bro, I could have did a lot of stuff. I couldn't get a piece with it. And I trusted God with that. And I've gotten so much more back from that. Because he began to show me that Robert, this thing wasn't just about you. You thought it was about you. It wasn't about you. That betrayal and everything, it wasn't intended for you. It was a reaction of running from dealing with self. And that's what I'm saying. It was so many more layers to it.
Yeah.
That's all it happened to me.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm grateful, man. And I just hopefully that's encouraging. And I know it wasn't easy for me to hear, but there's purpose in it. There's somebody. God knew he gave me the grace to deal with it. That other people, it would have took them out and they would have ended their life. But he said, I've given you the grace to endure it so that you can go back and be a blessing to other people. Would I have chosen to go through that myself? Oh, heck no. Oh, no, sir. No, I wouldn't have. No, I wouldn't have.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm appreciative of that now. That's why I can talk about it now because of that same thing, those experiences.
When you be converted, strengthen the brother.
Yeah, it's and I'm grateful for it. Like I'm telling you, it did more than just with that. It reshaped my whole viewpoint. I was able to see things from a different perspective because I was going down a path that that wasn't aligning with the purpose that God had for me.
Yeah.
And that path I'm talking about is what we see so many people get caught up in, the theatrics, but not the purpose. So I'm thankful.
Bro, I'm grateful.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into that because I'm gonna get really close, but I'm grateful that I didn't get into that to the theatrics. Yeah. I'm so grateful, man. Because to me, whenever I tried to, it didn't feel genuine. It felt like I was trying to be like something else, but that's another story.
Yeah.
I don't want to get off the topic. That's another story, but be who you are, learn who you are, man. It's okay. Understand you got limits.
Mm-hmm.
Man, one of the biggest lies or mistruths we tell ourselves, if you angry at something you think God did or God, you know what I'm saying? Say it. Look. We have a relationship.
Listen.
If you got a relationship, then I think a lot of times, growing up in Louisiana, you better not back talk your mom or your dad. Yeah. That's a slap in the mouth. But I'm like, how much better, like, when my wife, if we are with kids, I'm going to allow my kids to speak to me.
Yeah.
What I mean is, if disapprove something, then I can kind of go into detail why, or hear your perspective, hear your side, why this and that. But I'm going to tell you why I said this and that. Yeah. Because I'm the this and you do what I say. No.
Yeah.
No, that builds up envy. That builds up bitterness.
Yeah.
That builds up resentment. That builds up, Yeah. But man, I tell everybody out there, man, deal with yourself. Go toward who you see yourself becoming, man.
Yeah.
If you're gonna be this, you got to go toward that. If you see yourself being forgiven, whenever you ask God for something, then you have to know you're gonna have to do your part.
You got to do your part.
You got a part you must play.
You got to do.
You got a role you must play. That's why, man, I used to be, praying. I used to be like, the words you say are very important when you're asking God. That's why I remember back in the days when you tell people when you're going through something, God help me to be patient. Okay,
yeah.
I'm gonna do that. And then the weight of the world is put on your shoulders because that's gained.
Yeah.
Endurance is gained through trying times.
Yeah.
So you got to change that. You got to change what you mean. You got to change how you say. But all that's coming dealing with yourself and growing older and having a better, tighter shot group per se, and knowing what you want, man. Knowing what you want in life, knowing who you want to become, and knowing who you don't want to become, man. So it's a beautiful thing, man. We constantly growing.
And always know that there's room for improvement.
Always.
Don't get so caught up that you done got everything figured out. No, always know that there's room for improvement. And if you're willing to do the work, you will reap the benefits of it. That's
right. Enjoy that journey, man. Enjoy the journey. It is not God's intention for anybody to walk around in bitterness because of betrayal. It is not God's intention, whether it be a loss, whether it be anything that's traumatic. It is not God's intention for you to live your life in that.
Yeah.
Get up, dust yourself off, and go forward. And just I'm going forward. Okay, I was down, but now I'm back on my feet. And I'm hoping that some people who hearing this may be knocked down because of something happened to them, a fallout or whatever. You may feel down. I'm telling you right now, get back up and go into the city.
Yeah.
Get back on your feet and go into the city. One of the worst thing you could do to a fighter is to let them get back on their feet. So, thank you for your time, man.
Man, hey, I can't even do anything but close the show after that, man. You dropped the word, man.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate you, brother.
Yeah.
Got a lot of love for you, respect. Thank everybody for rocking with me.
You too, man.
But this right here is gonna help somebody, man. This right here is gonna help somebody, and I hope that they understand that the key to freedom is in them making up the mind to do the work and deal with themselves. That's the key.
Do the work. Gotta do the work.
You guys have a great and wonderful evening and tuning in. Looking forward to hollering at you guys next week. God bless.
Take care.